now we gon' eat like he a vulture. On the top pyramid, live like a fuck pharaoh. Sacrifice all their advice to be a winner. John Bud think at the turf, but only money. Think he went to Harvard, but he just a fucking genius. How we think it like a gotta make it look, y'all should do it.
Hey, 2, 1, T, 4, C. Nothing he can't be. Just him, we and me. One big family.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the CU Denver Lynx Radio podcast. I'm your host this week, Sam McCarthy, and I'm here in this basement with artist, producer, rapper, and student Keegan. How you doing, man?
Good. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, yeah, no problem. So, we'll just get right into it. I'll start with my first question here, and it's a pretty simple one. Who is your biggest influence when it comes to your music?
I think overall, like, my biggest influence between, like, production and general artist imagery is I really like and appreciate Tyler, the Creator. Like, his the way that he makes his albums more than just, like, a collection of songs and kind of, like, a cohesive piece of art really inspires me, and I like to take a lot of the elements of that artistic nature and put it into my own work. But outside of the music itself, I really like to take his branding and his, like, the way he markets himself and take some of those aspects because I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. And I've listened to your album a good few times in preparation for this. It's great.
Thank you.
And that was actually another one of my questions. I like the Tyler influence is palpable throughout the record. I especially like, I believe it's the intro to Spain, where you kind of do the call me if you get lost, like
the phone call type thing.
The phone call type thing. I thought that was great. I got a big kick out of that.
Thank you.
So moving on, I would like to ask you, when did you start playing music?
I started when I was real young, I've been surrounded by music my whole life. My parents and stuff were musicians originally. My dad was a drummer and my mom was a vocalist, so they've always been super heavily influenced with music in my life. So I started with playing violin, which wasn't really fit for me, but eventually I got into bass and started playing like in rock bands, and eventually joined a metal band where I played for probably about 3 or 4 years, but recently stepped down to focus more on the hip-hop rap type stuff.
Gotcha. Man, I would not have guessed that. That's really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
So, like, what is your songwriting process? How do you, like, get these songs to go from ideas to the cohesive, fleshed out things that they become?
Right. For me, it's really just a feeling of how natural it is, right? So I want everything to be cohesive, and it needs to feel kind of like it just flows into each other, especially with Mr. K, which I was structuring it to be a story. Like you were saying with those phone calls and stuff, the story of Mr. K is basically my experience in starting to produce my own music and doing hip-hop and stuff like that. So it started from, like, kind of being confident going into it, and then getting egotistical about it, and then, like, plummeting down, and I kind of tell that story through, like, those phone calls and, like, different instruments that I keep coming back to, and different chord progressions and melodic themes that I visit. So when I kind of look at that through my writing process, I really like to make sure that everything's really cohesive and that it all works together, and that I'm taking elements from my other songs and putting them into my newer ones, So yeah. I like to just make sure it all works together. I think that's the main part of my writing process.
Yeah, that's really cool. So do you typically start with, like, the overarching story or concept and build the songs off of that? Or do you start with, like, a couple songs that just come to you naturally and build the story around that?
Usually it starts with just a couple songs. So, like, I'll start with, like, just talking about, like, the typical rap thing, like money and cars and girls, stuff like that. But then I'll write another song where it's like I'm talking about how I sitting in my room and I can't come up with anything, and I'm kind of upset over that, and then it just kind of turns into this story where I go back and I look at that first song and I'm like, okay, I can add this verse here where I'm talking about, like, kind of foreshadowing those elements of, like, that dissatisfaction in myself, So I like just having like a couple bass beats, you know, and then building the story from those bass beats rather than thinking like, okay, I'm gonna write a album about how I'm like writing hip hop music, you know.
Right.
I kind of started with just writing hip hop music and then started thinking about that idea of that album.
Yeah, it's cool. It seems like a really organic way to go about it.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Thank you.
So how did you go about honing your skills as a rapper? Like what does practice look like for a rapper?
For a rapper, I mean, it's really like I focus a lot of my time on my production more than anything, because that's something that I take pride in myself, you know. I really like that it's like all of the sound in the album and in my music is like 100% me, you know. It's my ideas, my lyrics, my like just general production of the music. It's all me, so I really focus on like making sure that everything's really well mixed and all the instrumentation and hooks and everything really work well together. So I think it just comes from like sitting down and writing like 5-6 beats a day, you know, and like making sure that I'm like stimulating that part of my brain. But then there's also the lyrical side of it, you know, where I'm coming up with these like different ways that I phrase things and trying to like study what other rappers do, you know. Like I said that I was inspired by Tyler, but I also really love the way that Kendrick Lamar phrases his lyrics and stuff. He has a really unique way of using like odd rhythms and coming in on off beats and stuff like that to like add a sense of like disjunction to his music while still being like in time and making it feel musical. So I think like studying other rappers and stuff like that is also a big part of studying for myself.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really cool. And on some cuts on the album, you rap at like lightning speed. is very impressive.
Yeah, thank you.
So another thing I'm wondering is how do you build up the speed and the vocal dexterity to go through these passages and not stumble over your words or, you know, stop or anything like that? Like, how does that get honed?
Right, yeah. Well, as I was saying before, I'm very classically trained, you know, even in like instruments. I was saying I played bass before, and the way you get fast at playing bass is the exact same you do as playing singing, you know, or like rapping and stuff like that. Is you just sit down with a metronome and take it at like half speed until it starts clicking, you know. So really slowing it down, and it's very like traditional way of doing it, you know. Like I wouldn't expect a lot of people to like sit down with a metronome rapping, but that's kind of the way that I was brought up, at least doing like bass and classical music, jazz, stuff like that. That was the way that I learned best to do it. So that's what I try to apply to my lyricism and like practicing those faster phrases like you were talking about.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you just kind of come at it with the methodical precision, just like any other instrument.
Yeah, for sure, you know, because the voice is an instrument too, so I like to treat it with that same respect and give it the effort so that it sounds the best, really.
Right. That's awesome.
Thank
So
you.
you mentioned your parents were both musicians and you grew up around music.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering if you could expand on your musical upbringing and like ways you were encouraged or particular watershed moments that inspired you to pursue this to the methodical degree that which you have.
Right, totally. So it really all started when I was playing bass, and I picked it up really fast. So my teacher always said like I just had a kind of natural feel for it and the instrument and stuff, and music overall. I was very passionate about like theory and like weird concepts and that type of stuff. So I really loved pursuing that, and when I started doing bands and stuff, I always would tend to impress those other people. Like in those metal bands and stuff, we would always play like super technical stuff, and being able to keep up was like just very impressive, you know. So I was always kind of performing at like a higher level in that stuff, which I would take a lot of pride in, you know. And have you heard of School of Rock? like the music program. Yeah, I was doing that for a little while too, and went through their bands and joined their house band and played the Red Rocks thing, you know.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, having like that experience of playing shows through them definitely helped with like my stage presence and stuff like that, even though it is like switching different genre and instruments and stuff like that. So I mean, my upbringing was really just like coming from the whole rock and like playing live side and doing that stuff, but like at a higher level of it. So I was able to apply a lot of those, a lot of the stuff that I learned from that to like the hip hop music that I make now.
Yeah. When a lot of those things are universal.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
like-
Like I was talking about music theory, you know, like music theory is the same for all Western music, you know. So, like everything that I learned for the past, like my entire life, basically, I was able to apply to hip hop, which I haven't been doing for very long either. So I was able to like really learn very fast, you know.
Yeah. So it's clear the instrument, the bass, has a lot of meaning to you personally.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if you could tell me some of your favorite bassists of all time.
Number one's probably Victor Wooten, if you've ever heard of him.
Great choice.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
amazing.
He's like, he really inspired me with his slap stuff and his trio that he did with, I cannot remember.
Was it Bela Fleck?
Yes, yeah. The Bela Fleck and the Flecktones. Yeah, they were awesome. Even though it's like kind of that more bluegrassy type stuff, you know, at least with the banjo. I kind of took some inspiration from that with like the way that he uses the bass as more than just like holding down the chords, you know. He kind of makes it a lot more interesting and more percussive.
Yeah.
Yeah, Victor Wooten's definitely my top.
That is a great choice. He's so cool. I remember seeing this one video of him talking about just the foundational use of bass and the power of simplicity. Have you seen this one?
I think so. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he like plays like the same motif like 3 times.
Yeah.
He's like, from there you can build into the crazier percussive, gnarly stuff that he does.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. And I try to apply those teachings to my own songs and stuff, you know, like Spain, like you were talking about, is 2 chords for like most of the song. And being able to build something that's like really interesting and keeps you captivated off of just 2 chords is challenging, you know, and trying to figure out how to build that momentum and build that energy off of something that's not supposed to be interesting, you know.
Right.
It definitely takes like a different mindset, which I learned from Victor Wooten.
Yeah, well, I think you succeeded, man. That song's awesome.
Thank you.
So I got another question for you, and it's a little bit of a different one. What does success look like to you? What has to happen for you to feel like you've made it, per se?
To me, I really want to be like that artist icon, you know, like where the guy that kids are trying to be, you know, like how Tyler the Creator is to me, you know. I want to be that for somebody else, like inspiring them and having that personality that people can relate to on a like very broad stage, you know, and like touring and stuff, you know, and like the more obvious things about music, I really want to have like the big collaborations and stuff with other people that I look up to, because I think like working in the studio and making music is like my favorite part of everything, even though playing live and stuff is great and like doing all the marketing and stuff, you know, it's all, I love every aspect of it, but I think like sitting in the studio and really working stuff out and doing all that stuff is like my favorite part of it. So being able to collaborate with like artists that I look up to, I think would be like my dream.
Yeah, that's a good answer, man. I like that.
Thank you.
So where did you record your album, Mr. K?
Between the school studios here at CU Denver and up at my home studio. I recorded it on one of these SM7B, a lot of the album, and just mixed it a lot in my room over break and checked mixes between, you know, car, AirPods, whatever else, you know. So It was a lot of just like home production, you know. I never really went to a studio to like record lyrics or record my vocals or anything, just because I was able to do it all myself. So I thought it was easiest.
Yeah, that's cool. So is a lot of that like in the box? Do you have a particular DAW of choice?
I use Logic. Yeah, I
Nice,
really like
nice.
using Logic. I keep everything in the box. It's simple, you know. Plugins do a great job of everything that I do, and even I didn't record a lot of albums for Mr. K just because it's a lot of resources. I tried to learn how to make MIDI instruments sound good, basically, which I think there's definitely caveats to using them, but I think the way I used them, it definitely fit. But for my future stuff, I definitely would like to take the time to like record every instrument and do all that stuff, just because it's like, again, I was saying the joy of just being in the studio.
So how much of the album is MIDI? Because I wouldn't have guessed there was like hardly any.
Basically everything except the vocals.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. Yeah, everything except the vocals, I think. I may have recorded like one bass part, if even that, but everything except the vocals on Mr. K is MIDI.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
There's some real plug-in wizardry going on there then.
Dude, it was just hours sitting in the keyboard like, how do I make this not sound bad?
Right. So would you be interested in working with other artists on the production side?
Yeah, for sure. I think like right now my process has definitely been very like myself oriented, you know, and like I like having a lot of control over what I do, but I think I definitely could take that step back and like just sit in a room with some people and like try making some song ideas. I think that would be like a goal for my next project, is to be more collaborative.
Yeah. All right, so we got a bit of a 180 here. This is a different type of question. But I mean, you got like a cool fit on here. Like I see the tie under the hoodie.
Thank you.
What does the intersection of fashion and music mean to you? 'Cause, I mean, being such a fan of Tyler, he's obviously a fashion icon with the socks and sandals and the grandpa hats and all the sweater vests and stuff.
Yeah. I take a lot of inspiration from that as well, with his like the effect that he has on fashion and stuff, and like I really want to be able to do that and have like the shoes, you know, and the clothes, and have that effect on people and see them wearing my stuff, you know. I've already started trying to design like merch, like traditional merch, you know, like album tees and stuff like that, but also trying to go out of my way and make like logos and put like cool designs on shirts and stuff like that, and try to figure out like, okay, like if I find a supplier, could I actually get this going, you know, even though I am a smaller artist and like probably not that many people would buy it, you know, it would just be like friends and family, whatever, you know, but like even having it just like on my website, I think would be a step, because like people could see it and be like, whoa, he's got kind of some cool designs, and even just having merch as a small artist is kind of like a cool step to take.
Right. So would you make something that you said just made me think of this, but some of the Golf Wang stuff is more than just clothes. There will be other kind of items, like there'll be lighters or stuff like that. Would you want to make like some left field kind of merch too?
Yeah, I think like making bags and stuff, I think that would be dope, like backpacks or like even handbags, you know, like purses, something like that. I think that would be dope.
Yeah, I have been told we can swear a little bit.
Oh,
just so you know.
Okay, thank you.
Don't gotta police it too hard. Okay.
I wasn't sure.
But yeah, don't worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what sort of things has your time at CU taught you or instilled in you as an artist and just as a person?
Right. I've learned a lot from my teachers, like more than anything, and kind of taking them out of class and really like getting more engagement than what was just in class, like taking my audio production teachers out and like seeing what they think of my mixes and like generally overall the song. Like Evan Reeves was like a huge help for the album in terms of mixing and even composition, like just getting his input and stuff, and like telling me, especially being newer to hip hop and stuff, like just having someone who has that songwriting experience and getting that input like directly correlating to my song rather than kind of interpreting what I learned in class to like what to my music, it definitely helps a lot, like getting exactly what I want to know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
So we got the Evan Reeves shout out. Is there any other teachers you want to give a shout out to on this podcast?
Matthew O'Brien has helped me a lot with like my marketing stuff and like thinking about like imagery and like stuff like that and helping me with that type of stuff.
Excellent.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Shout out Matty OB. That's my guy. All right, we got another pivot here. My questions are all over the place. I wrote these all late at night.
Yeah, I'm liking it.
Who, in your opinion, is the greatest rapper of all time, and who's the best currently in the game?
Rapper or like producer?
We'll do both. We'll start with rapper.
Okay, rapper I think is Kendrick, 100%. Like the way that he like tells a story through his words and like makes you connect with him is insane, while having that like very intense and like thematic phrasing. I think is just very like, it just has a connection to me, you know, and I think it obviously has a connection to a lot of people because he's huge. And I think even like all time and today, he's like greatest rapper.
I think that's a great pick. Yeah, like you said, like the combination, he's like a prolific jazz saxophonist as a rapper.
Yeah.
And he uses that to craft some of the most touching songs ever. Like I immediately think of Sing For Me, I'm Dying of Thirst. Like, that's heart-wrenching.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, one of my favorite songs of him is Duckworth off of Damn, and that song, like, it's crazy what he does. Some of his phrases and stuff, like the way that he's like thinking about it kind of as an instrument rather than just a voice, you know? It's insane, really.
Yeah. So we can move on to producer now. I imagine you'll have a lot to say about this. So I'm curious what you'll say.
I really love Kanye West. I know he's kind of controversial, but like he's just, if you look at just his music, it's like the beats that he's making and for himself and for other people, like what he's done with John Legend. I love all of his stuff, you know, and it's definitely inspirational to me in like his club music, you know, like he was able to take that hip hop stuff and like make it into club music, which was really cool, which I'm sure people have done before, but I just loved the way that he did it in that, like, it was radio music and club music, and he was just super like mainstream while still being really interesting.
Yeah, really innovative.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a great pick. I mean, the music speaks for itself. He's been making crazy beats since before 2004. I mean, even his stuff before he was a household name. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there. Those old Chipmunk soul beats.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Those are awesome. Those changed the game.
Right.
The whole 808s thing.
Oh my God. Yeah underappreciated, but still, like, the influence he had, it's crazy.
You still hear it today, like, everywhere.
Right. Yeah.
So we've kind of got some answers to this question throughout this interview, but I'll just ask it point blank. What does Tyler, the Creator, his artistic journey, and his music, what does all that mean to you, just as a person?
As a person, I just really appreciate it, you know? It's like he's been able to bring himself up from just like this goofy kid into like this very well-respected producer and artist with like clothes and really like good music, you know, and having this image that is more than just music. I really like that and try to bring that into myself. You know, I want to be more than just my music, and having like all those side type things, you know, even though it's all just part of him, it's very cohesive.
Yeah. Well, and I agree. It's like inspiring to see him go from the dude that ate the roach.
Right. Yeah, into like making Call Me If You Get Lost, or like Igor. Oh my God, I love Igor. Insane.
I think that one's his best.
Yeah, no, it's like crazy what he does. So like that journey is very inspiring to me, you know, because I really like I try to take myself a little bit more seriously, but I think like having that connection with people at the beginning is definitely just a good way to like get into the game, and then like changing that image as you go through is just like pivotal
essential.
to a ton of artists. But Tyler the Creator definitely does it in a way that I appreciate.
Yeah, like the constant reinvention of self. He's like a blueprint of how to be an incredible artist in this modern era.
Yeah, totally. He's awesome.
Because, I mean, we see one-trick ponies come out of the ether and disappear as quickly as they came in, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I think he did that through just like keeping going, you know, and like changing his sound. Like there was this interview I saw of him of like everybody was treating him as like the goofy high schooler, and then he wrote See You Again and Flower Boy, and then it like completely changed because he went mainstream. But like with Kanye West, he kept that like he kept it really interesting, you know, not just like super poppy and boring, but it was like innovative.
Yeah, that's such a great album too.
Yeah.
I remember, like, I don't know if it came out during the summer, but like the summer after that came out, it was just an immaculate time of life.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. I think I was in like middle school when that album came out, and it was like life-changing for me.
Yeah, did you ever see his Tiny Desk concert?
Yeah, insane. The whole Tiny Desk concert thing as a concept is like just such a great take to me, and like the way they used that platform to like find these more kind of acoustic versions of these songs and stuff. It's really cool.
Right. And I feel like your music could lend itself to a Tiny Desk type performance really well.
Yeah. We're actually, so Tiny Desk is holding a competition where you like record one of your songs as a Tiny Desk concert. And I'm planning to enter that competition. We're recording the video this Saturday. I'm having practice after this actually with the choir that I wrote the parts for.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. And even like, you know, not winning, like I get a cool video and like have this experience of hearing my song in that format, you know.
Yeah,
we're
man.
planning to do Spain. I think it's going to be really fun.
Yeah, I mean, even if you don't win it, you got to drop that, man. I'll watch that.
Yeah, for sure.
That sounds tight.
Thank you.
So just on the topic of Tiny Desk, just because it's something I find so interesting. I've watched so many of them. What are some other of your favorite Tiny Desks?
I love the Thundercat one.
Oh,
that one's dope. Especially being a bassist, you know, I watched that and seeing him like shred, especially on that funny looking bass. I think that was the first time that I actually saw his bass. Like that was awesome. I love that one. The Anderson .Paak one, you know, where he's playing drums and singing, insane. Yeah. Those are definitely my favorites.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like some of the newer ones I saw that I've been obsessed with is the Action Bronson one and the Scarface one.
Yeah.
Yeah, those ones are crazy.
Yeah.
Shout out Tiny Desk. they're doing the Lord's work.
We got to get Tiny Desk going here at CU Denver, man.
For sure. I mean, that actually has been an idea that's been tossed around. That might be in the works.
That would be awesome.
I can't promise the people anything as of right now, but it has been tossed
You got
around.
your first guy, dude. I would be there instantly, bro.
Excellent.
Bringing the band down. That would be dope.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So the sophisticated like jazziness of your music, that just comes from your studiousness and like your background, like sorry, didn't mean to do a full 180 there, but
No, you're good. I mean, yeah, the like jazziness of my music definitely comes. I did jazz band all throughout high school, and jazz has always been a very big inspiration for me. And I originally was planning to go out to Berkeley in Boston for bass and do like the whole jazz bass thing, and I got in and everything, but I started doing hip hop around the same time, and it just really, I felt much more of a connection to like taking those jazz elements and putting them into something new rather than just being like a jazz bassist, you know?
Yeah.
And making something that really stands out. But those jazz elements like came from like jazz band and just generally listening to the music and going through the different eras of jazz. Like my favorite personally is like the bop era with like Dizzy Gillespie and Charlie Parker and stuff like that, where they're just like shredding the whole time.
Yeah, so crazy. Donna Lee.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all those songs.
And even Spain is like based off of the Chick
Oh, yeah.
Corea song Spain.
Yeah, no,
You know?
I remember you like even have you interpolate the main melody at the
Yeah.
end. I thought that was so tight. When I heard that. I was
Thank
like,
you.
Nice.
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely love paying tribute to that part of my like background, you know, and kind of building off that, because there's things that I could pull from there that I definitely could not pull from anywhere else, you know.
Right. So is that like the biggest thing that brought you to CU Denver specifically, or are you like from the area?
I live out in Broomfield.
Gotcha,
So yeah,
gotcha.
I noticed that their program, CU Denver's program, is a lot more like modern, you know, as to like Berkeley's program. The main reason I didn't go was like they're super classical about everything, you know. It's like you sit down in a practice room for 6 hours a day playing bass, you know.
Yeah.
But here it's like you sit down for 6 hours a day in a room like working on beats, you know, or like music business and stuff like that, which was really more of what I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely lost my train of thought. I had a really good question.
I get that, man. That's how I've been feeling a little bit. This is my
Yeah.
first interview, actually.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you for having me on again, man.
Yeah, man.
This is
Thanks
really
for coming
cool.
on.
Yeah. I think this is a really cool opportunity, and especially what y'all are doing with like the Your Mom's House gigs and stuff like that. I think that's awesome. I'd love to get on one of those sometime.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That would be tight.
Yeah, totally.
Well, I guess we can wrap it there, man.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody,
All
for
right.
listening to the CU Denver Links Radio podcast. Once again, I'm Sam McCarthy. Once again, this is Keegan.
Yeah. And I have a show coming up March 9th at Club Vinyl. So if you'd like to see me there, just follow my Instagram at KOGGL3E. There's ticket info and stuff up there now.
Right. I was wondering how you pronounce that. Is it like Coggle? Is that how you say
Coggle.
it? Nice. Nice. That's cool.
Thank you.
So, yeah, check out Keegan at Club Vinyl on March 9th.
March 9th, yes.
Excellent. Check out Mr. K. Crazy album. I'm sure everyone will like it.
All right.
Yeah. We out of here, man.
Thank you.